Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining in this webinar this afternoon. We're so delighted to have the opportunity to speak to you more about the programme, about US study and about the application for the 2016 US programme. And it's great to see so many of you have joined today, and for any of you that can't make it or wants to hear this again, we're going to send out a recording of the webinar afterwards. So to get started, my name is Rosie Hodgert and I'm Senior Programme Manager and Educational Advisor for the Sutton Trust US programme. And today I'm joined by my colleague David Mannion, who's Communication and Advising Manager for the Fulbright Commission. And you'll be hearing more from him a little bit later on. And just so you know, I've been working on the programme for over 3 years now and have been so lucky to work with hundreds of amazing students that have gone through this process. And we're so excited to see more applications coming in for cohort 5. And we can't wait to get started on reading them in January once you've submitted them. And I think most people that have joined us today have either started an application for the programme and maybe have some more questions or want to know some specifics now that they're in the application, and other people maybe haven't started yet but just want to know what's involved or what to expect from the programme. So hopefully in this webinar today I can cover all of that, as well as provide some insider tips on how to complete a successful application to the US programme. And if you have any questions, we ask that you type them in the box as you have been. I can see some people have said hello and things like that. So please only use that chat to ask questions, and we can answer them at the end. And the format of this presentation is going to be firstly talking about the programme and its format. And then I'm going to hand over to David, who's going to talk about US study in general and tell you more about that. And then he's going to hand back to me to talk about the application itself. So just bear that in mind, so don't ask questions on the application right now because we will be getting to that at the end. Okay, so first to talk a bit about the programme. So the programme is designed to give talented students a taste of US culture and higher education to help you make your own informed choices about your higher education routes. And it's a Sutton Trust programme that's run in partnership with the US-UK Fulbright Commission. And next year, so for the programme you're applying to, is going to be going into its 5th year. And to give you a bit of background on these two organisations that are involved, firstly, the Sutton Trust is a UK charity that was founded by Sir Peter Lampall with the aim of providing educational opportunities for able young people from non-privileged backgrounds. And they also work to improve social mobility through education. And the US-UK Fulbright Commission is a not-for-profit organisation that was set up just after World War II by Senator Fulbright to promote peace and cultural understanding between the US and the UK. And you might have heard of the Sutton Trust already because they have a number of popular UK summer schools, but the US programme is fairly different in its format from those other UK summer schools. So while we're centred on a 1-week summer school in the US, we also have different application components to the programme both before and after the US week. So we have 4 residential events based in the UK in London before and after the US. And at these residentials, you'll take part in informational sessions and workshops. You'll be working with me and my 2 colleagues, Gillian and Lovishka, who advise you through the process. And obviously, the whole point is to learn about the full US admissions process and the process of applying for financial aid at American universities. You'll also work with expert test prep tutors who will provide you with in-depth test preparations throughout the year. So we'll talk a bit more about what the residential events involve and exactly what you'll do on those in a bit more detail in just a second. And actually, in addition to the support we provide for all of you as students on the programme, we also provide your teachers and your parents with resources to help them understand the full admissions process and their role in this as well. Because obviously it's not just you as an individual going through this, it's your families and your schools who are supporting you. So we aim to give really comprehensive advice. And another key benefit of this programme, as you can see on the screen, is that all programme costs are covered by the Sutton Trust. So sometimes people are a little bit overwhelmed by that and aren't sure exactly what that means, but to break it down, I've talked about these residential events. We cover the cost of all of those. So the US trip is all expenses paid, and also the London residentials are as well. So that's all your food, your accommodation, travel to and from the event, So if you live in Inverness in Scotland, or if you live down the road in London, we'll cover the cost of you to get to the event. We also meet the cost of all the admissions, test prep, tutoring that I've just been discussing, and also all the materials for test prep, the materials for the admissions process, and not forgetting your families and your schools. The materials that we provide them with, of course, are all free as well. So basically, we're here to walk you through every step of the way and cover the program costs for you along the way too, so that it's not a barrier to you applying to the US. And this level of support is really what sets the program apart. The three of us, myself, Gillian and Lavishka, as well as the rest of the Fulbright team, work really closely with the students throughout the whole process of applying for admission and financial aid. And it's not just limited to the in-person residential events, but also for those that after the US weeks decide that US study is right for them, it extends over the whole year. And we communicate with you on a daily basis by email, social media, phone, and we all keep in touch as program participants. And for you as a Year 12 or as an S5 student on the program, another huge benefit is that it will provide you with an opportunity to meet over 100 other students who are also interested in US study and are from similar backgrounds. So students are always telling me that that's what makes the program so special for them, is that they have a group of like-minded, enthusiastic young people from all ends of the country, places that they've never been before, and they really do form lasting friendships. And that is very, very special, and it's amazing to see year on year. And if at this point you're thinking, wow, I'm not actually sure if the US is right for me, I don't know, I'm just kind of interested in this program, please don't worry. As I said, the whole point of this program is to help you figure out if US study is the right path for you. And if you end up staying in the UK, I want to make that clear now, that's absolutely fine. We still have really strong connections with even students from cohort 1 who ended up staying in the UK. And in fact, some have even interned in our office or still come along to residentials and to events to help out with the next cohort. So it very much is a family, and we support all the students on the program and love to keep in touch with everyone as much as you all will keep in touch with each other and form your lasting friendships. And to talk a little bit about how these benefits have helped our students so far. So as I said, 2016 will be the 5th year of the program, and the first 4 years have been hugely successful. So the students are at a wide range of US universities, some world-class institutions that you'll definitely have heard of, such as Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT, Columbia, Dartmouth, but also a number of really, really incredible institutions that at this point you might not have heard of, and actually maybe when they were sitting in your seat, when they were about to complete their application, they hadn't heard of either. But places such as Amherst, Lafayette, Middlebury, Smith College, University of Pennsylvania, Trinity College, the list goes on and on. So we really, again, help open your eyes to all the opportunities out there in the US. And from cohorts 1 to cohort 3, we've had 139 students admitted to US University, and cohort 4 are currently doing their applications right now, and we're going to be eagerly awaiting the decisions in the next couple of months. And if you want to find out about those, we'll be posting them on the Fulbright website when the decisions come out, so at the beginning of next year, and then again in spring next year. Okay, so are you eligible to apply? That's the big first question. And before I talk more about the format and the timeline of the program itself, I wanted to cover eligibility. And it's something that we do get a lot of questions about, and all the information can be found on the website, but I wanted to speak with you about it as well to make sure that this is clear what we're looking for. Okay, so to apply for the program, you must be in Year 12. And you can apply if you're resetting a year. So if for some reason you're resetting Year 12, then you can complete the application and let us know. There'll be a question in there in the application form that asks, are you resetting the year, and if so, why? And we just ask that you provide as much detail as possible to help us understand what reasons are involved in you resetting the year. Unfortunately, if you're in Year 13 and are deciding to take a gap year, you're not eligible for the program. It really is for Year 12 students only. And Again, you have to be attending a state school or a state college to be eligible for the program. And unfortunately, even if you're at an independent school and you're on a bursary, then we're not able to accept your application. And that's really because the Sutton Trust believe that we want to help students from the lowest performing schools in the country and really help them reach these opportunities. So with such a high number of applicants each year, we really just focus on the state school sector. You also cannot hold US citizenship at all. However, you don't have to be a British citizen. We can help you if you need to apply for a B2 visa to attend the US. We can help you through that process, just so long as you don't hold US citizenship. And we also ask that you're from a low or middle income family. So we class that as a family with household income of around £45,000 or less. And if you're around that income and you're still interested in the program, we definitely encourage you to go on and apply. And we will have a look at your full context. I know that some people have specific circumstances, like perhaps they have a slightly higher income, but there's 8 children in the family, things like that. We all take it into context when we look at your application. So if in doubt, we suggest you do apply. Bearing in mind that the Sutton Trust is a social mobility organisation that provides opportunities to lower income students. And we're looking for students who are able to attend all residential events, so please do not apply for the program if you know you can't make any of those events. There's one slight caveat to that, which is the June residential that I can talk about in a moment. And we're looking for students who are really excited about the program and the possibility of studying in the US. So we expect you to keep those residential dates free at the point of application. And then the second part of the slide here is talking about things that we're asking you to meet at one or more of these. So I'm going to talk about them in a bit more detail because I know it might seem confusing. So we ask that you've earned 8 or more A's or A stars at GCSE or the equivalent. So I know at the moment in Scotland people are doing a number of different qualifications. So for Scotland we say have earned 6 or more A's or B's in their S4 qualification. Of course, if your school limits you to a certain number of qualifications and you aren't able to meet that number of A's, that's okay. We just ask that you explain that in your application. So don't let that put you off. And also if you're close to that, so say you've got 7 A's or near this grade criteria, again, please do apply, because as we do this process, as you're looking towards US universities, you'll realize that our program is very similar in that we do look at you holistically. And David will talk a bit more about that later on. As I said, we ask that you show commitment to the program, that you're interested in the US. So in your application, there's one essay question asking, to tell us about your interest in the US. So please do provide us with as much detail as possible there. And we say here, applications are welcome from students who are the first generation in their family to go to university. And again, this isn't a requirement, but if you are first generation, please don't let that hold you back from applying. As you've heard, we do offer high level of support. So even if this process is really unfamiliar to you, that's okay. And we'll still definitely encourage you to apply. Okay, so now I'm going to talk through the residential events and the format of the program overall. So you will all have submitted your application and your school reference form online by the deadline of Wednesday the 20th of January for the student application form and Friday the 22nd of January for the school reference form. They have a couple of days extra. Then our team, so myself and the 2 other program coordinators, as well as the rest of the Fulbright team, will go away and review your applications in full. So including your essays, your videos, which is actually our favorite part of the whole process, and looking at your full context. And we'll review all the applications submitted, and we'll get back to you by mid-March by email to confirm if you've been selected for the finalist residential. And the finalist residential is due to take place Thursday the 7th to Sunday the 10th of April. And we're going to invite 175 students to attend that event. And they will be 175 finalists. And at the April residential, it will be hosted in London. So again, you'll come down to London or up to London, and we'll provide you with more information on the US admissions process, including how to apply for financial aid. We'll give you your first round of test prep, so you'll meet your amazing test tutors, and you'll hear all about what's involved in admissions tests, so don't worry if that's an unfamiliar concept to you at this time. You're also going to hear what university campus life is like in the US from previous cohort participants. And also you'll get to meet us, the team, you'll get to meet all the other students, and it's a really, really exciting few days in London where we have a great time. It's a lot of work, but it's also great fun. And of those 175 students invited to the April residential, 150 will then be selected to participate in the full programme and go to the US. And the other students will be placed on a short wait list and will be informed if places become available. And really at the April residential, we use as a time to get to know you and for you to get to know us. And when you learn so much about the US, you might think, oh, it's not for me. It's, this actually isn't what I want to do. So it's not so much a selection event, it's rather both of us deciding if each of you is a good fit for it. So often after the residential, a number of people decide that it's not for them, which is why our numbers go from 175 to 150. So then the 150 programme participants will come back to London for the next event, which is the June residential. And that's really when we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the programme. And you'll come down to take the ACT admissions test. And you'll take part, before the test, you'll take part in a test preparation, again with your tutors. And then you'll sit the test together as a cohort in London. And at this point, as I said, please don't worry if you are thinking, wait a minute, that's right in the middle of my exams. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that. We'll work with every programme participant individually on that. So if you have an exam during those dates, don't let that hold you back from applying to the programme now. We can make arrangements with you to come later to the residential or leave earlier. Obviously, we'll work around your exam schedule. And unfortunately, we don't choose that ACT date. That's just the date the ACT chooses. So we can't move it, which is why we do take it in June. And then after the test is out the way, we'll get to the fun stuff. So you'll take part in workshops to help you with your US university applications. And we'll bring in experts from the admissions field to provide you with in-depth guidance on specific aspects. So things like your admissions essay, your extracurricular list, all these components that make up a US university application we'll start to work on. And you'll leave the residential with a head start and a first draft of your application. And even more excitingly, we're going to tell you everything you need to know about the US weeks, which is the next residential. So the dates are yet to be confirmed, but in late July, early August, we'll have the US weeks. And this is when the participants, all of you guys, will be divided between a couple of campuses. So again, we're still finalizing this, but last year students were based at either MIT or Yale, with a day hosted at Harvard. So it's likely to be a similar setup to last year. And during this week, so you'll all have a week-long visit, and during the week-long visit, you'll get a real taste of US university campus life. So you'll be staying in dorms, you'll be eating in the dorms, but not only that, we'll also take you to other area institutions, so you'll get to know your host campus really well, but we'll also go to a number of other institutions for campus tours and for information sessions to learn more about what other universities have on offer. And being on campus in that way will really allow you to leap into the life and the culture of a US institution. You're also going to have the chance to take part in special masterclass lectures that are put on just for you guys on the Sutton Trust programme by world-renowned professors at these leading universities. You'll get to meet current students, admission staff, alumni. It's a really, really action-packed week. It's a lot of fun. And we do also do things outside of the lecture halls. So in previous years, we've gone to Boston Red Sox baseball games. We've gone up the Empire State Building. We've gone up the Rockefeller Center to Central Park. Last year, they went on a historical tour around Boston. We've also done things like gone to the mall, which is fun, and also the 9/11 Memorial and Museum in New York. So, well, these are just examples of things we've done in the past, and we'll be planning lots of cultural activities for Cohort 5 too. So it's a really, really fun, action-packed trip. And every year the students say that it's completely life-changing. So we're looking forward to taking you guys to the US. And then in September, when you come back from America, that's when you'll really decide, do you want to do the full degree in the US? Or maybe, in fact, you want to do a year abroad, or you want to do postgraduate study. At that point, you'll decide what you want to do, where you want to go from this point. Now you've learned everything that you have. And for those that do want to do a full degree in the US, we'll support you through that process through the autumn and winter. And we'll help you put together your applications toward the November and January application deadlines. And also for those that decide the UK is the better option for them, we do still provide support, which we'll go into in much more detail at the April residential. So in the autumn, you'll take part in another key event, which is USA College Day. And that's a Fulbright run event, which is the largest American university fair in the UK. So you'll have the chance to speak to hundreds of exhibitors representing US universities and educational service providers. And you'll also do a number of sessions with us that day before the fair. So again, a really, really exciting opportunity to come down to London for the big fair. And you'll get to start talking to the university representatives where you're thinking about applying. And then finally, some of the most competitive, one more thing about in September, we do provide an advisor training seminar, and we invite one of your school representatives to attend. So one representative from every school can come down to London and attend the event. And typically for the public, a ticket to that event is really expensive. It's over £100, but we give a discounted rate to your schools. So it's just a small fee of £5. And it's really, again, to make it accessible for them to come to the event and learn about the school's role in the process, because that's another huge part of this that you'll learn. So then, as I was saying, in early November, we have one final residential, and that's for some of the most competitive universities that require students to sit the SAT subject test in addition to the ACT or SAT admissions test. So the majority of students will come down and sit these tests in November. And again, test prep materials, tuition, all of that will be provided in the lead up to the test date. So that's pretty much the program in a nutshell. But I know you're thinking, why is the US such a great fit for you? And what kind of education could you get there that maybe you won't get in the UK? So I'm sure you're tired of hearing my voice. So I'm going to pass over to my colleague, David, who, as I said, is the Communication and Advising Manager at the Fulbright Commission, and he is going to walk you through a bit more about US study.
Thank you, Rosie. Good afternoon, everyone. So obviously the Sutton Trust Programme is support for students who want to study in the USA, but why would they want to do that? And hopefully just by attending this webinar, you already have some sort of interest, but we're just going to briefly go over the reasons why the USA is a good fit for some UK students. It is not for everyone, but it, as I say, is a good fit for some students. And in fact, last year there were over 10,000 UK students pursuing university study in the US. I'm not here to sell US study or this program in particular, but I do want to let you know some reasons why US study can be a great fit for UK students. Firstly, many students cite the quality and reputation of US universities as a top benefit to studying in the US. You should take university rankings with a grain of salt, but if you look at world ranking lists, US universities always dominate the top. Students can choose from a wide range of universities on offer. There's roughly 4,500 universities offering undergraduate degrees, and with such a wide range of universities and degrees on offer, there is bound to be one that's a great fit for you. Speaking of fit, the flexibility of a US degree, most universities, but not all, will follow a liberal arts curriculum. Some universities place more emphasis on this than others, and the term liberal arts encapsulates several ideas. First, the idea that in order to graduate with a degree from a US university, you will need to take classes at some point outside of your main area of study. So, for example, if you are, say, an English major, by the time you graduate, you may need to take one maths class, one art history class, one psychology class, etc. But don't worry, an English major isn't forced to do advanced maths, and you're given a wide variety of classes to choose from to fulfill these requirements. Liberal arts always means you can double major or have two main areas of study. For example, international business and Japanese, or journalism and theatre, or major and minor. Minoring something means you get a taste for a subject by doing a few modules in it. For example, you could major in biology with a minor in French. Also in the US, you're more likely to spend time inside the classroom interacting with your peers and with the professor, whereas independent research is usually more emphasized in the UK. Thirdly, the availability of funding. Undergraduate scholarships are often offered to students based on merit, extracurricular achievement, financial needs, personal characteristics, things like country of origin, field, gender, ethnicity. If you look hard enough and select universities carefully, you have a good chance of receiving funding for your studies. For example, every year, over 900 US universities offer international students scholarships of $10,000 or more, and nearly 200 of these offer a full ride scholarship, which means almost everything is paid for. Fourth, the cultural experience. The US spans 6 time zones and has a great diversity in geography and cultures. It is vast. Long university summer holidays offer students a great opportunity to see the US. Furthermore, living on campus and generally the general open, friendly nature of Americans lets you get yourself immersed into US culture. And there are often trips and cultural trips and host family arrangements organized by the university's International Student Office. And lastly, studying and working abroad makes you more employable. Students want to be more competitive in an increasingly global workplace as the world is shrinking. And just by studying abroad, it lets you get transferable intercultural skills and sets you apart in the job market. And now, very briefly, I'm just going to go over the types of degree on offer and the key differences between the US and the UK. So there are some 2-year or community colleges which award associate's degrees, which is almost like the equivalent of a foundation degree in the UK. Generally, they have a professional or vocational focus. They involve less rigorous application processes and entry requirements than a 4-year university. Many American students start their studies at a community college and then transfer to a 4-year university, receiving a full bachelor's degree from that university in another supplementary 2 years. And they might be a good option if your SAT scores are not high, as many community colleges don't require SAT scores for admission. They're also a lot less expensive than 4-year universities. The 4-year colleges are the ones that award a full bachelor degree in the States, and they will expect you to have completed 3 A-levels, although they don't specify which subjects. In comparison, if you're going applying for a 2-year degree, you can maybe get in with GCSEs. It's also important to note several other key differences between the US and the UK. There are no government set fees, and there's no centralized admissions process like UCAS. And this does add to the challenge of researching applying to US universities. However, it also means US universities have the freedom to specialize as they wish and have a really individual identity. It's also important to note that you will be applying to the university rather than the department, and this shapes the overall tone and contents of your application. And furthermore, unlike in the UK, law and medicine are only studied at the postgraduate level. And I'd now like to hand back over to Rosie, who's going to explain how you apply to this program.
Thank you very much, David. Okay, so now I'm going to go over in a bit more detail the application process for the program. And as I said, I know some of you have started an application, I know some haven't at all, so I just want to hopefully have the chance to address any questions that have come up for those of you who have started an application. So first of all, I'd like to point out the US program website in case you didn't know already, because there's so much information on there, including pictures, videos from previous cohorts, and also detailed pages on how to complete the application. So please definitely visit that website if you haven't already. Also, our FAQs page is very helpful, and we do update that as we get application inquiries coming in by email. So we try to make sure that's as up to date as possible. So it's a really great page to check out if you do have questions at any point. So to complete the student application form, you go to the Apply Now page on the website and you'll see a big link. And from that point, you'll be taken to a different portal that will take you through an eligibility page. And once you've completed the eligibility, you'll be taken to the student application form. And you'll have a main homepage that shows you your student application form and also your school reference form and how to invite a school referee to complete their letter of recommendation. So just to note that there are those 2 components to the application. And you can save at the end of each section. So you can move through the form by clicking next at the bottom of each page, and then you'll eventually, you can save as you go along. But if you try and submit, you'll be prompted to fully complete every single section in order to be able to submit your application. And as I said, there is the second component of the school reference form, and they have a deadline of 12 noon on Friday the 22nd of January. Before your student application, it has to be completely finished and submitted by Wednesday the 20th of January. And we ask that you're careful when you submit, you make sure that your teacher has received an invitation email and that they're ready and understand the process before you submit. So make sure that they understand what's involved in this process too. And as I said, the FAQ section is really great and on the website in general. But if you still need help, if you're really unsure after this webinar, after looking at the website, please do get in touch by email. It's suttontrust@fulbright.org.uk, and we will get back to you within 3 working days. Oh, and somebody's just pointed out that it says January 2015, but of course it is January 2016. So please ignore that small typo. Okay, so David touched on the holistic style of application that US universities use, and we've adopted this approach for our program application as well. So we really do want to get to know the whole you. Unlike other programs that you may be applying to at this age, we're not just looking at your grades. That's not the only thing we're interested in. This application covers a whole range of different sections so that we can get to understand as much information, and we can really get to understand you as an individual and your suitability for this program and this whole process in the US. So following this US style, we'll ask you questions on your personal information. So that's just your personal details, your information on your school. We'll ask your academic profile, so the grades you received for GCSE or other qualifications, Scottish qualifications. And we'll ask you information on the subjects you're currently taking. Your school reference will be the one to provide your predictions for year 12/year 13. So you won't provide that information to us. We're going to ask you some visa information that we require just for traveling to the US, so don't worry too much about that. We'll ask you whether or not you hold a passport. That's just for our planning purposes. It's not some sort of requirement for the program. And we'll also ask you if you have any form of disciplinary history, and we'll ask you where you've traveled to before. Again, just to get an understanding of your experiences in the US so far. And the next section helps us understand your specific family and financial situation. And the questions are similar to those that you'd find on a US university financial aid form. So again, we're trying to understand your full picture, the full picture of your family's financial situation, as a US university would in order to award you the right amount of financial aid. So our application is a great opportunity to start familiarizing yourself with those types of questions and what you might need to provide to a US university in the future. And some of them can seem a little sensitive, but we try not to be too invasive. It really is just, again, for us to understand your context and your full picture when admitting you to the program. We'll then ask you to tell us about anything extracurricular you do outside of school or outside of the classroom. So again, we want to know more than just the academics, and we'll ask you to list basically anything you do in your free time. So that can be sports, it could be national competitions, or just that you like to go swimming every weekend. And it doesn't have to be an official activity. Of course, we do want to know all of those. But if, for example, you care for a family member every day after school, and that prevents you from taking part in some sort of extracurricular activity, then we want to know that too. So if you look after your grandmother or you have to cook for your family every day, please do tell us that. We really want to find out how you spend your time. And please do give us the details. So if you founded a club at your school, if you and your friends or you by yourself decided to set up a club or an organization, please make that clear to us, because obviously that's extremely impressive and it's something we want to know about. So don't sell yourself short. Please make sure you're giving us all the details and telling us about anything productive you do outside of your required schooling. And then we're also asking you to do a few short essay questions. So in this year's application, we've changed it ever so slightly. Last year they had 5 essays. This year you've got 4 short essays and 1 short answer. And you'll see that when you start your application. It's quite a quirky question, but again, it's just a great way for us to get to know you and how you think, and for you to show who you are. And this is one part of the application that really brings the rest of it to life and lets us see your personality. So please do give us thoughtful responses to the essay questions. And then there is finally the optional video interview. So this is optional, but it's really strongly encouraged. And as I said earlier, it's our favorite part when we're reviewing the applications, because it's a chance to get to see you and to get to know you. And it doesn't have to be anything extremely outrageous or special. If you're just filming it on your phone or on a camera, even if the quality is poor, it's fine. It's just a really great chance for us to see you and to get a sense of you as a person. And the video is only 3 to 5 minutes, and it's just to answer 3 questions. And in the application, there's a link to a detailed instruction sheet that tells you exactly what questions we need to know the answers to, exactly how to film it and how to upload it. It's all really important information that you can find online. So definitely take the chance to look over that. And again, I would really strongly encourage you to do it. Even if you think it's poor quality, it's better to submit a poor quality video than none at all. For us, it's great to just get a sense of who you are. And if you aren't able to, for whatever reason, if you can't borrow a camera from school or a neighbor or a friend or anything, or you're having a real difficulty, then we'll ask you to just explain why you couldn't do it. But again, it's okay if it's a bit poor quality. As long as you've made the effort, then we can see that and we appreciate it. And in terms of actually filling out the application, you just going to switch this slide. Yeah, in terms of actually filling out the application, as I said, you can save your answers as you go along and log in and out of the application form. So be thoughtful, take your time, but saying that, we do note it when people submit their applications ahead of the deadline. So it definitely shows you're interested if you can submit early. So we would encourage you to do that as well. And another key part of this is the school reference form. And it is required. So your application will not be considered without the accompanying school reference form. And as I said, you'll see when you log into your portal that you have one link that takes you to instructions of how to invite your teacher to complete this form. And what they'll do is they'll receive an email that's an invitation link, and they'll go on and submit the reference form. And it's a one-time form, so they just go on and fill it in one go and click submit. They can't do as you do, which is like saving and returning to it at a later date, but we do provide them with a copy of the form, a sample one, so they can see all the questions that are asked. So they can collect all that information and can go online and submit the form in one go. And again, just work with your school, make sure they're on board and are able to spend the time filling this out. It is a really important part of your application, and you wouldn't want to miss out on the program because your school didn't complete the form. So work with the teacher and make sure you've spoken to them before you send them the invitation link. And it can be completed by almost any representative from your current school. So it could be your head of year, your careers advisor, teacher, or another school representative who you feel knows you and who can truthfully provide the information that we ask for in the school reference form. Obviously, it can't be somebody that knows you on a personal level outside of school, but as I said, any representative from your current school. And a question that we sometimes get is from students who have recently moved school, and maybe they feel that nobody in their current school can properly represent them in the reference form. You can ask a member of staff at your old school, your previous school, to work with a member of staff at your current school to complete the reference. But ultimately, it has to be submitted by somebody from your current school because we ask for your grade predictions, which can only come from your current school. And again, we have more information on this online, but my main tip here is really just to support your schools in this process and make sure you're making them aware of the application deadline because they are obviously incredibly busy. So support them as much as you can.
So after reading through so many applications from working on this program,
we here in the office have put together some application tips to help all of you put together the best possible application you can for the Sutton Trust US program. And as I said earlier, we do try to get to know each of you through your application. So the first way that we do this is by providing text boxes throughout the application where you can provide us with information that maybe you think needs a bit more context, isn't quite clear. And this could be on anything. It could be your family, your school, it could be your health. If there's anything that you think you need to explain further, please use text boxes. And they're unlimited. You can write as much information as you want, and it just helps us get to know your full picture, your full circumstances. So please try to give us as much context as possible in your application. Definitely use Word or another word processing software to draft your essays before you enter them and submit them in your application. And that's just to check for things like spelling mistakes and to make sure you're hitting the right word count. And do write thoughtful essays. Definitely put time into them because that's another part, a key part of the application that we use to get to know you. As I've said, there is a feature that you can save at the end of each section, so make sure you don't spend ages completing one part and then have to go back and complete it all again. Save, log in and log out as you need to when you're completing the application. Definitely check it all over before hitting submit. Don't rush it. Make sure everything you provided is truthful and accurate before you submit it to us. And again, the teacher part is such a huge part of this application and has to be submitted for us to review your form. So ensure you're working with your teacher, support them, and make sure they've submitted before their deadline of the 22nd of January. And I can't stress this one enough. I said it before, it's our favorite part of the application is the video interview. So please, please, please do submit a video interview to us. Even if it's not the best quality, again, it's just such a great way for us to see you and to get to know you and to put a face to the piece of paper that we're reading. And it can be as quirky as you want it to be. It's really your own 3 to 5 minutes to show us who you are and show us a bit of your personality. If you can, we ask that you do submit well ahead of the deadline. And firstly, that's because obviously there's sometimes technical issues that might prevent you from submitting the night before, so don't leave it till the night before. But also it just shows us that you're really, really keen and really interested if you do submit in advance. So to see applications come early is always great for us because we do track the applications coming in each day. So it's great to see that you're keen and that you're interested and that you're trying to submit ahead of the deadline. Please try to avoid cliches. As I said, we've read loads of applications and this year we'll be reading many more for cohort 5. And we just ask that you be honest and that you say what you really believe in, not what you think we want to hear. So for example, if we read hundreds of applications that all say, I want to go to America and live the American dream, I want to go to Harvard or X other institution. If that is your dream, that's absolutely fine and that's wonderful and we do want to know that. But please give us more detail. Tell us why that's your dream and what sets you apart from the other students that might be telling us that. So if you are going to say big, bold statements, that's great, but please back them up with a bit more information and a bit more detail. Please, finally, also just be yourself. I mean, by being eligible for the program in the first place, you've already demonstrated that you're an outstanding student, and we just want to see how amazing you really are. So please don't be afraid to show off and really showcase your achievements. And do try to tell us about all aspects of your life. It's, you know, as I said, when we're talking about extracurriculars, if you play badminton at a national level, or if you just look after your little brother every single day after school, or visit your grandparents 3 times a week and support them. Whatever you spend your time doing, we really want to know. So please do be yourself throughout your application. We love to see every individual personality. And just before we finish up, we're coming to the end and people have been asking some questions that we'll address in a minute. But before we open up to the questions, I really just wanted to say some final thoughts on behalf of the staff here.
from our perspective, if you're thinking at all about applying, if studying in the US might be a good fit for you or something you might be interested in, then please do go on and apply. And you really don't necessarily have to know at this point that you want to do your full degree there. All you need to have is an interest, and we'll help you figure out if it is the right fit for you or if it's not. And honestly, at this stage, we do not expect you to know at all. I know some people have been asking questions about specific things like the SAT or the ACT. Even if you've never heard that terminology, if you don't know these things people are talking about, don't let that put you off. It's not, we don't expect you to have all this knowledge before you start the program. That's what we're for, and that's what we're going to help you through if you are part of the program. We're going to give you these tools to figure out if US higher education is the best fit for you. And again, just from a personal perspective, I want to say how really rewarding it is to run this program and what an incredible experience it really is. And the students on the program not only learn so much about the US, about education, about their futures, but also they just really, really grow and mature over the year of being on the program. And they really learn a lot about themselves. So even for students that end up staying in the UK, and they might look at postgrad options in the US, or they might look at study abroad as part of their UK degree. All of those students also say how truly life-changing the experience was, just from learning so much, from going to the US and spending a week out there, from meeting so many other interesting people, and from gaining these really important, lasting friendships. So please do consider that. It's a really great experience just for the program, even if you don't go on to study in the US for your full undergraduate degree. And, as I said earlier, many students are still very involved in the program. We have cohort 1 students who decided to stay in the UK that still help out on the program each year, that come into our office as interns. They've interned in our office, they've been team leaders, they come along to the events and help out. And we do keep in touch with everybody that goes through this program and process. And I think, as I said at the very beginning, that is one of the truly amazing things about the program. It's just the level of support, the friendships you make. It's really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So thank you so much for attending this webinar. It's been really great for so many of you to tune in and hear more about the program and how to put together an application for the 2016 program. And what we're going to do now is turn over to some questions. If you give us a couple of minutes, we'll just read through them and then get back to you. So again, thank you so much for tuning into the webinar, and we'll be sending out the recording in a couple of days' time.
So people were saying, do we need to sit the SAT or the ACT? Do we need to sit both of them? Can you provide more information on that? So US universities look at the SAT and the ACT as equals. It's kind of like Coke and Pepsi. That's what they usually say. So it's really what the better fit for you is. And that's something we'll talk a lot about in April when you meet your test prep tutors, and they'll help you figure out if the SAT or the ACT are better for you. So again, don't worry about that at the moment. It's something that we'll speak a lot about in April. People were asking about the Ivy League, and as somebody pointed out, the Ivy League is actually a sports league. Some people think it is for the prestigious institutions are in the Ivy League. It's actually based on a very old sports league. And again, this is one of the myths that we will bust at the April Residential. So we're going to be introducing you to a number of US universities and opening your eyes to all different types of institutions that you could apply to. So again, don't worry about that at the moment. So somebody's asking where you send the video. So the video is part of the online application, and what you'll do is follow the instructions that are linked in that tab of the application, and then you submit the YouTube link to us online, and then we'll receive that and view it. Somebody's asked, can we send in our application before our teacher reference? Yes, you absolutely can, and I hope I clarified that when I said that once you've submitted your application, you can then log on and see the status of your teacher's application. So yours will be submitted, you'll receive an email saying, thank you for submitting your student application, and then you'll also be informed when your teacher reference has been submitted, and those two components make up your complete application. So as long as both of those are completely submitted, then you have applied for the program. So somebody's asked, is there still help available if you don't get into the Sutton Trust US program in applying to US universities? That's a really great question, and the US-UK Fulbright Commission, as I said, is a not-for-profit organisation that promotes US study to UK students, and we have a number of resources online, so not on the US program website, but at fulbright.org.uk. And actually, just in the meantime, if you're interested in finding out more about things like admissions tests or how to choose a university or all these other things, it's a great place just to look at for information. And Fulbright also hosts events, they do seminars and outreach activity, they also have an advising email address. So that's for the general public. There's always Fulbright to support you if you need help applying to US universities, if you're not accepted to the program. Somebody's asking what information is provided for parents and teachers. That's a really great question. So if you're accepted on the program, we'll invite your parents down to London to attend a parent session, and any member of your family can attend if they're available. And again, we'll just talk about the program. We'll go over all of those details, and we'll provide them with a parent pack. So a pack of material telling about the US process and the program. And for your schools, you really do support them through the program the whole way. So we provide them with a materials pack, but we also work with them by email to help them reach all of their application deadlines if you do apply to US universities. So we'll work closely with them. You'll declare to us who your 3 school references are, and we will help them through that process. And somebody's asking if you have a part-time job and struggle to get the time off work. Yeah, of course, we can do whatever to help you get the time off work to attend the residential event. But as I said, please note that the US program events are mandatory to be a participant in the program. So you should only apply if you can definitely make all the events. And the US week dates we'll put up on the website as soon as they're confirmed. Some people have asked some personal questions about their families and specific circumstances. So if you're not in contact with your parents or they don't give you the data that you need for the application form, please just, again, explain that. We provide one comment box in the family and financial circumstances section where you can give as much detail as possible. So if you live alone or if you live with an adopted family or foster parents, whatever your situation is, we try to cater for that in our application. And we just ask that you try and explain your circumstances as fully as possible to help us understand your current living arrangements, your current financial circumstances. Somebody's asked about extracurricular activities and how far back we'll look. So are we interested if you've done something when you were 13? No, I would say the last couple of years are really what's important to us. And of course, it depends what's important to you too. So if you took part in activities when you were 13 that were really important and were a huge part of your life, of course we do want to know that. But it's really what you're taking part in now or have been in the last couple of years. What we're really looking for in the extracurricular section is to see that if you're taking part in things, you're continuing them and you're really involved in them. So if you just did something for a week, then it's not necessarily worth putting down in that section. Somebody's asked about putting the video, your application video on YouTube, and they're saying, will the video be out there for the whole world to see? Don't worry, again, in the video interview section of the application form, we provide instructions, and in those instructions, it explains how to make it, I believe it's called unlisted, so it isn't shown to the public, it's only shown with the people that you share the link with. So you'll submit that link to us, and we'll be able to see it, but the public won't be able to. And we make sure that you all do that, you know, for safety reasons, so that your video is not out to the public. And one thing to note is please don't make the video private, because if it's private, then it means when we click on the link, we can't see it either. So that'll prevent us from viewing it. So just follow those instructions really, really carefully. So somebody's asked about the selection process from narrowing down 175 students to 150. As I said, a lot of that is to do with students deciding if it's for them or not. So maybe some people after the April residential feel that the program's actually not the right fit for them, and they're definitely interested in UK study. They definitely want to attend a UK university. And then for other people, maybe it's a slight behavioural issue or something that happened at the residential where we feel like maybe they're not a great fit for the programme. But overall, it's really not a selection to worry about, because it's just for us to get to know you. If you're interested, if you're committed, if you seem engaged during the residential and you behave, then we will happily have you with us in the US. So please don't worry about that. Somebody said, my school has had a student on the program before, will that disadvantage me? Not at all. We obviously we know what schools all of our previous program participants have attended, but it definitely won't disadvantage you. And we ask all of our program participants every year to go back to their schools and spread the word of the program for the next cohort. So we hope that you've heard about it from an assembly hosted by one of our other students. So it definitely won't disadvantage you. Somebody's asked if you can include extracurricular activities that haven't occurred yet. I would say if you have space to it in your application, then you can. Otherwise, we say there's another comment box saying tell us about other honours or other extracurricular activities, and you can put it in there. It's better to write about things you're doing now, but of course if you've got space, then definitely tell us things that are upcoming. That's helpful to know. Somebody's asked if multiple teachers can contribute to the application. Again, it's fine for your previous school to work with your current school if you think that a member of staff at your previous school knows you much better, but it has to be one contact, one member of staff at your current school who's the one that you'll send that invitation email to, that will complete the form, and that will submit it online. So they can have input from other teachers, certainly, but it has to be that one contact that does the form. So it looks like we've covered a lot of the questions here, and we're over time, we're 5 minutes over time, so I'm going to have to wrap up now. Please note that the website is a really great source of information. Check out the FAQs page, check out all the other pages, and if you have any questions that are urgent and that you need to know for the application, please do email us and we'll try and get back to you within 3 working days. But we are very happy to see so many of you logged in. We're so excited to be reading your applications in January. And thank you for your interest, and thank you for applying for the Sutton Trust US Program 2016. Okay, that's us signing off. Thanks very much.